We have some big news right now. The United States will soon face likely supply chain issues as the last ships from China are arriving in the United States unencumbered and unimpacted by the tariffs. Well, according to CNN, starting next week, ships coming into the United States will face that 145% tariff. And as a result, companies are going to have to start making a critical decision. Are we going to be paying more to import or export goods and import them into the United States and therefore make American consumers pay more for what they're shipping in? Or are they going to just stop shipping in these goods altogether? And as a result, things like toys, clothing, electronics, appliances, and so much more, which are not impacted by exemptions, which are directly impacted by tariffs, will start costing more, or the United States will just not have as much of. And as a result, you'll have higher demand here in the United States because you won't have enough product to meet that demand. And well, as a result, you'll have supply chain issues. Spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack, link to my bio, so subscribe for free and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
So the government's not going to openly tell you guys that the ports are empty right now. They're not going to openly tell you that you need to stock up on supplies and that we probably got about 2 weeks left before this shit comes to our doorstep. So China has officially stopped exports to the U.S., so expect to see empty shelves in about 2 weeks. Of course, not everything, but the stuff that we will have is probably going to be about 10 times the amount. Expect to see hospitals closing down, as Hong Kong is one of the largest suppliers of hospital goods in the U.S., so there's not going to be many supplies. Expect to see a lot of layoffs. If products aren't coming in, that means truckers have no goods to move. Therefore, the logistics companies have really nothing to do. And then possibly hitting people who work retail, because if there's no items, no goods to put on the shelves, what are you guys going to do? And this isn't to say that things won't get back on track, but it is going to get ugly before it gets pretty. And if we're already not getting shipments, then we're going to get hit. And if China does decide to send goods, it's still going to take some time for everything to get back on track. So expect to see delays no matter what. I advise you guys to stock up on supplies now. Don't panic and make a plan while you still have time.
So what happens now? We are an enemy to China and we are no longer friends with Canada. I live at the port of LA, and it's true. Everything's empty. The ships are not coming in. If anything, the ships that are out there right now, they've all stopped. Do you know how much dock workers make? They aren't getting jobs anymore. They are losing their jobs. These are the best jobs. These were the most secure jobs you could have in this area, and they are dying. And when the goods aren't coming in and the dock workers aren't working, then all the businesses around us and beyond are going to be affected. It's very upsetting when you do everything right, everything you're supposed to do, and yet we're still suffering. And it's not our faults. It's not our faults. It's the people up top. It's the government. It's the billionaires. It's the rich. You get what you voted for. And now what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot more angrier citizens. We are so used to getting what we want and getting it fast. So when you go to the store, do not yell at these workers. Do not scream. Do not complain. Go to your congressman.
So many cargo ports in the United States have become quiet. Normally, these ports are full of life, trucks moving in and out, containers being loaded and unloaded, workers going about their jobs. But now, a strange silence has taken over. Many ports across the country are almost empty. This is not just a small slowdown, it's a sign that something serious is going on in the US economy. In this video, we look at what's happening, why it matters, and how it's affecting truckers, workers, and entire industries like meat production. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, my name is Usmini. Kindly consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we get to the video, let me play a few clips on the same and I'll be back with my commentary. All credit goes to the original creators of these videos.
What are the consequences of the fact that there's no shipping, no ships coming in to the biggest port on the West Coast? The port in LA is reporting that there are no ships with shipping containers. The port is basically empty. And the same thing has happened in Seattle. And this happened pretty quickly, right? The tariffs came in and people are not ordering anything, and people who have ordered things have canceled their orders. And the implications for this are mainly for the American economy right now. China has lots of flexibility to be able to handle this. They can give grants to companies and things like that because they are running their economy very differently, and they've also don't have the same sort of debt load that the American Americans are facing. But the implications for this are just catastrophic for the U.S. I mean, the first one that we can see right away is for truckers. There are reports that the truckers, the level of demand right now is the same as for Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, which is the lowest of the year, and that is every day. So you're going to see truckers laid off, you're going to see port workers laid off, and the cascading effect, obviously, through that local economy will happen fairly quickly because those people are not going to have the money to be able to spend, and it's going to affect the real estate in those places as well. But think about the stores and the companies that need components to manufacture things. There's all sorts of things that are manufactured in the U.S. using components that come from overseas. And then people who need tools. Most of the tools are manufactured in the States, in China. You need those tools. You need them to be relatively inexpensive so you can run your business. And so the cascading effect of this will be, of course, a decline in the economy. And you probably see some readjustment in certain prices because there'll be very little competition for it. So, there's all of these cancellations of meat orders going to China, which is going to affect the price of beef and pork, and all of those things are going to drop for Americans. And that's wonderful for Americans, except it's going to put a lot of farmers out of business because they're already selling at very low margins to start with. So you'll see some economic decline, which will in some sectors lead to deflationary pressures, but for the most part, you're just going to see economy slipping into failure mode, and the worst recession ever, because it's not just some sort of over exuberance or something like that in some sector or another. It's actually just pulling the fundamentals out of the economy and throwing it into collapse. And this is just the start. I made a TikTok a few weeks ago saying, get prepared. In a couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing shortages of things on store shelves. And when there's no ships coming from China, you're going to see shortages of things on store shelves happening really quickly now, because they rely on very tight schedules for things. It's really, computers are making the orders. When something is sold in a store, an order goes to the head office and it automatically goes to the supplier in China. And when they cut that off a few weeks back, when the tariffs were first imposed, that was the end of those replacement orders coming in for things that are on the store shelves. So things that you need that are like hard goods manufactured in China, and that's most of what you need. If you're in the U.S., you should be going and buying it now. Of course, in Canada, this isn't affecting us at all because we're not putting any weird tariffs on things coming from China. But when you see a harbor that has no ships and a busy port like L.A. and Seattle with nothing on the dock, I can tell you that's worse than anything we experienced in the pandemic, and it's completely self-inflicted.
Let's begin with one of the biggest causes, under consolidation. A lot of American businesses are canceling their orders from overseas. The reasons vary. Inflation is high, tariffs have increased, and consumer spending has slowed down. Companies are being very cautious and avoiding the risk of overstocking goods they might not sell. As a result, they are canceling or postponing shipments. That means fewer cargo ships are arriving at U.S. ports and receiving far less cargo than usual. Truckers, especially independent drivers and small companies, are being hit hard. Many of them rely on steady port activities to make a living. With fewer shipments coming in, they are getting fewer jobs and making less money. Some truckers have reported that they wait for days to get assigned a single load. Others have had to leave the industry because the cost of staying in the business is no longer worth it. Another area facing serious trouble is the meat industry. Meat exports from the US are being cancelled as well. Countries that usually import large amounts of US beef, pork and poultry are reducing or stopping their orders. Some of this is due to their own economic issues. Other times it's because of political tension or increased cost. As a result, meat that would normally be shipped out is staying in cold storage or not being processed at all. Farmers and meat producers are losing money, and that is leading to layoffs at farms and marketing place facilities. This brings us to a wider problem: worker layoffs. The slowdown at the ports is affecting a lot of more than just truckers or meat workers. Thousands of people work in and around the ports: warehouse staff, crane operators, custom agents, shipping coordinators, and more. With less cargo coming in, many of these workers are getting fewer hours or losing their jobs completely. Businesses that rely on imported goods are also cutting staff and in some cases even closing locations because they have nothing to sell. All of this is adding to a larger issue: economic decline. Empty ports are a sign that the US economy is slowing down. When fewer goods are moving through ports, it means there is less trade happening. That usually leads to businesses making less money, which then leads to job cuts and lower consumer spending. It's a downward cycle that's hard to stop once it begins. This problem is not limited to just one part of the country. It's happening all over, from the major ports in California to those in Texas, Georgia, and New York. Because the global supply chain is so connected, a slowdown in one place causes delays and losses everywhere else. It's not just one industry that's affected, it's multiple sectors all feeling the same pressure at once. A big part of the problem is political. Recent trade policies, including tariffs, have made it more expensive for the US to import goods. In return, other countries are cutting back on what they buy from the US. Businesses are hesitant to place orders in such uncertain climate, and inflation to the mix, and it's very easy to see why the entire supply system is struggling. From the outside looking in, this situation seems to be a mix of global tension, economic shifts, and policy decisions that have piled up over time. And while these issues are being discussed at a high level, it's regular people who are suffering the most. Truckers losing income, workers being laid off, small businesses shutting down. These are all the real-life consequences of what looks from a distance like just an economic slowdown. So